And then the big upside, needless to say, of Jumpstart is we're getting a lot of people into the real estate development industry that have not been able to break in previously. More than 85% of the graduates in the Jumpstart Germantown program are women or people of color who have been grossly underrepresented in real estate development over the years. And I'm hoping, partly because of the Jumpstart program, that that room looks very different 5 or 10 years from now.
I could see that happening. Tell us about the Philly office retail and how that started.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 32 years now, but it feels like it was yesterday that I got into real estate development. But about 15 years ago, we started to bring on staff. We now have over 20 staff. We own and manage over 800,000 square feet of commercial space. But I started as a residential real estate developer, and after about 10 years, converted over to commercial, which is what we've been doing ever since. So we are specifically mission driven because we are focusing on adaptive reuse of properties. I don't have a problem with new construction, but we believe that before you knock down and build new, you should try to save buildings, that's a better way to be. So that's what we've done during our lifetime.
Why do you believe that?
Why? Because one is you don't change the fabric of the community as much. We believe in scattered site rehab because as opposed to what we used to call urban renewal, which is the knocking down of, say, a block or two of and wholesale changing of a community. We believe that by doing scattered site rehab and renovating one building or one property at a time, you can keep the fabric of that community intact, which is a better way to be.
What are some of the successes that you've had over the years that stand out to you?
Yeah, we've had a bunch. For example, we took an old historic church, St. Peter's Church in Upper Germantown, corner of Harvey and Wayne Avenue. 1.5-acre campus, 4 historic buildings that were designed by Frank Furness. The campus had been vacant for 10 years. We were able to buy those properties for next to nothing, partner with the Waldorf School. We spent $6.5 million renovating the buildings, and the kids in that school are the luckiest kids ever because they get to go to school every day and just a gorgeous setting. That's just an ideal project for us because it was a way to help build community. At the same time, improve the neighborhood around it and save historic structures that needed to be saved. Our more recent project, which is by far our most comprehensive yet, is in the Wayne Junction neighborhood, which is the neighborhood right between Nicetown and Germantown. We're in the process of renovating and reusing 13 buildings and properties that we have purchased in the area. They were almost all previously vacant and deteriorated. And so in a very comprehensive way, we are turning around this neighborhood, producing apartments, offices, like the one we're sitting in right now, restaurants, we have a brew pub, so just a lot of different uses and trying to recreate this neighborhood so it's a place where people want to live.
Yeah. So 13 different parcels for that project.
Yes.
I always find it fascinating how that came to be. So how long did it take to acquire all of those? And was there a certain strategy you had to be secretive about it?
Yeah, it's taken several years. And yes, usually we broadcast our work and our acquisitions. In this case, we did keep it under wraps for a few years until we were able to accumulate a critical mass of properties, and then we announced it. We had 125 people come out, mostly from the immediate neighborhood, and we announced the project, and we sought input from the immediate neighbors on what they wanted us to do with these buildings that we were acquiring.
So what is the process by which you evaluate which business to lease to?
Leasing is always a challenge because we are almost exclusively developing properties in what we call middle neighborhoods. We're not in the most struggling neighborhoods and we're not in the hot neighborhoods, particularly the ones around Center City. So in middle neighborhoods, we're not going to get your most experienced tenants. So very often we have to find the startup tenants that we believe in, that we think are ready to take it to the next level and rent to them. So we do a lot of digging into what they know and what their business plan looks like. And I have personally opened and operated 4 restaurants over the years, so I'm able to talk food with them and food business. So as a result, we have a lot of coffee shop and restaurant tenants in our portfolio because we're not afraid of renting to them, and we're better able to pick and choose who we believe is going to make it at the end of the day.
What unexpected challenges have you come across when renovating blighted properties?
The first thing we typically look at with a blighted property is the means of egress, how the property is situated. Is it in a neighborhood? Is it along a commercial corridor? Where are the staircases located? Where is the elevator located? Because a lot of these properties going back to the 1800s, we're not set up with our current codes. Now you can't travel more than a certain amount of feet to a means of egress. So we have walked away from some buildings where it just doesn't look like it could be adapted to another use. But that's been our biggest challenge. A property that we're just designing right now in Wayne Junction at 147 Berkeley, we're gonna have to add a staircase to it. We're gonna have to reduce the size of the elevator.
Who do you usually have by your side when reviewing these things? Because there's no way you can know it all.
Yeah, right, exactly. In fact, I don't know much of it at all. I mean, one of the things I tell my Jumpstarters is the day you stop learning in real estate development is the day you should get out. Because it is 32 years later, it's a constant process. I am just constantly learning. But it's my Philly office retail team that I depend on. I have a wonderful COO. It's been with me 15 years and she knows code inside and out. I have an in-house architect that's been with me for several years, and he has learned how to design these sometimes frustrating historic buildings. A head of construction who knows the trade inside and out. And you're absolutely right. You can't know all that stuff. And if I knew more than them, then I would probably have the wrong people around me.
Yeah, absolutely. So in regards to Jumpstart Germantown, the program, where does it start?
So we go over the 7 jump steps of real estate development. And it's really A to Z. It's everything from sourcing right through to property management. But where I think we're different than a lot of other real estate development training programs out there is we take a step back. Why are we doing what we're doing? What are our goals? What are our passions? What is the impact of the real estate development that you're considering on the community that you're trying to serve?
How are you doing that? What's your strategy?
I've been doing real estate development for 32 years now, and we do almost exclusively rehab of properties, adaptive reuse. But for the first 10 years, I rehabbed residential properties, which is what we're now training our Jumpstarters to do. So in a sense, I call it selfish, my reasons for Jumpstart, because I can't renovate every residential property myself. So I'm going to train hundreds and now thousands of people to do it for me, because as I tell my Jumpstarters, I get to retire when every vacant, deteriorated property in Philadelphia has been renovated. So I'm counting on them to help me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Perpetuate your vision.
That's right. When we started Jumpstart Germantown 6 years ago, I had no idea the kind of demand that we would get for it. Like a lot of sort of social entrepreneurship projects that you take on, you throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And with Jumpstart, we started with initially 2 people in my office who I was mentoring. Eventually went to 10 people in my conference room, and now, of course, we're training over 120 online at a time. And there's more demand than ever. So it's been just unbelievable. There are now 6 other Jumpstart programs around the city being run by CDCs, other developers who realize the impact of our curriculum and what we're trying to do in the communities that we're serving. So they're all now training people. And we now have a citywide Jumpstart Philly loan program that is loaning acquisition and construction dollars to aspiring developers who have gone through those other Jumpstart programs. And just within the last 6 months, we now have new Jumpstart programs in Wilmington, Delaware, Norristown, right outside of Philadelphia, and we just had our first one outside our Philadelphia area in Oklahoma City. It's what I love. We're drumming up everybody else, which is the way it should work. Spread it out. And then the big upside, needless to say, of Jumpstart is we're getting a lot of people into the real estate development industry that have not been able to break in previously. More than 85% of the graduates in the Jumpstart Germantown program are women or people of color who have been grossly underrepresented in real estate development over the years. I don't know how many commercial real estate meetings I've been to, and I look around the room and it's 95% white male. And I'm hoping, partly because of the Jumpstart program, that room looks very different 5 or 10 years from now.
I could see that happening.